It was a day none of us will ever forget. I had boarded the 8:30 a.m. Delta shuttle over at LaGuardia Airport and was getting ready to return to Washington for votes. It was a typical Tuesday morning, I felt, in New York. Heavy traffic as commuters were making their way into Manhattan, and the sky was a beautiful bright blue overhead, and I was anxious for my flight back to D.C. because I had missed some votes the night before, and my flight had been canceled due to bad weather that Monday evening. So a little after 9 o'clock in the morning on the plane, I received an email from my chief of staff that said, basically, where are you? And then a second email with a more urgent request for me to call into the office. And I was on the airphone with my chief when I heard the news that would forever change my life and that would forever change America. The two planes had crashed into the World Trade Center and America was under attack. Moments later, the plane I was on returned back to the gate, and I raced out of the terminal, and the first thing I wanted to do, and I immediately called my cousin Mike Moran, a firefighter down at Ladder Company 3 in downtown Manhattan. I didn't think to call my other cousin John, his brother, his older brother, who was also a firefighter. John was a battalion chief, and they don't go into buildings, or at least I thought. So I didn't call him first, I called Mike, and I didn't get a hold of Mike. He was already on his way down to his own firehouse. I later learned that Mike had a couple of conversations with John that morning, the last one ending with John telling Mike that he was already on his way to the site and that Mike should come down as well. But Mike never did see John again, nor did I. John had driven down to the World Trade Center site with a group of his colleagues. When they reached the foot of Tower 2, John is said to have, believed to have said, let me off here. I'm going to try and make a difference. And those were the last known words John ever spoke. He was one of over 300 firefighters who risked everything to try to make a difference that day. Not a day goes by that I don't think of John. And there's some comfort, I think, in knowing that he ran into Tower 2 without any pause. Yes, John would tell you that that was his duty, what he signed up for when he took the pledge to serve our city as a firefighter. But my cousin John was more than that. He was a real proud American. With or without uniform, I know that on any given day, John would have put his own life at risk to help his city, his fellow New Yorkers, or to help his country. And there were hundreds, even thousands of Johns that day, in days and weeks and months after September 11th attacks. Thousands of Johns tirelessly dug through rubble, plastic, and toxins. First, they searched for survivors, and then they searched for remains. And they stood in line to donate blood and food and clothing. They traveled across the country to comfort their friends and their family. My John made the ultimate sacrifice. He sacrificed a lifetime of happiness with his young wife. He sacrificed seeing his two young boys grow up. But he did it with pride and honor and with an unwavering commitment to community and to country. On September 12th, I stood at the crater of what was once New York's most majestic buildings. And it was hard to imagine how in one place, on one morning, and in the greatest city the world has ever known, we could sustain such an incredible loss. But despite the deep pain and mourning, there was also a feeling of tremendous pride. You can feel our country's unity, our shared pain, and our determination to emerge even stronger. It's hard to believe 10 years has passed, but the spirit of national pride felt that day is something I hope and I believe we need to recapture. America is the greatest country in the world. The men and women who ran into burning buildings on September 11th, the courageous passengers who forced the crash landing of Flight 93 in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and our brave men and women who are serving so bravely overseas for our country would never want us to ever forget that.